Hello and welcome to this video, Republicans versus Democrats, or conservatives versus liberals or progressives. Um, Before we start, I would like to show you how I came with this idea, or what was the reason behind it. I am kind of frustrated with the way things are going in the US and also in Germany with certain parties, which, in case you're interested, I'll make a video on at some later time. But the main issue is that there seems to be this two camp mentality in the US, which I just don't understand. I mean, I can understand being voting always for one party because that's the one that you believe is right or something like that, but still just not looking over the box, over the plate on the other side of the table, who sits there and why do they sit there and what's the idea behind it, is a little bit I just don't understand it, to put it that way. So as you can see, there is this video here and I will start it. 1 second.
Ja, es ist wieder Zeit für so ein Video. Heute sehen wir uns die CDU an, auch ein bisschen SPD und ein bisschen AfD, aber primär sehen wir uns die CDU an. Ich und TJ, wir haben uns einfach...
This YouTuber, as you can see, a very well-known YouTuber called Rezo in Germany, he made a video specifically about one of the parties, a little bit about other parties because we have different political parties in the US, in Germany, but he made a video. This is not supposed to be a video like this. I do hope that some big YouTuber who is can do an unbiased, neutral approach to both the Democratic and the Republican Party, maybe pick up this idea and do it. But for now, you will have to, well, live with this cheap knockoff imitation discussion video that I am presenting. So the first thing first, in order to tell you what my idea is, or to get a baseline of the whole discussion, I like to work with definitions so we all have the same, the same point of view, so we can know what we're talking about. Because just saying that the Republican Party is bad or the Democratic Party is bad doesn't help anything. It doesn't give any specific reason why they're bad. And saying, well, they help the poor, well, I don't know if that's bad, but saying, oh, they help the rich, I don't know if saying that is per definition bad. There are always different aspects and different ways to view things. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at the definition. And one of the definitions that I found, there are different, but they all vary in quantity and quality of words. And I just picked this one because it was the simplest and the one closest to the train of thought that I want to represent. One of the two, for the Republican Party, one of the two main political parties in the US, usually considered to supporting conservative views and to want to limit the power of a central government. Okay. What I want to focus on is this conservative. You can disagree with me when you say, okay, the Republicans aren't conservative or Republican voters aren't conservative, but that's the first thing I want to take a look at. And in order to take a look at that, I want to take a look at the word or the meaning of conservative. And this is the one that I took, came from the Cambridge Dictionary. Not usually liking or trusting change, especially sudden change. So, if you are a Republican, a conservative voter, and if you don't like change, then my question to you, and an honest question, when in the past was the time where you were the most happiest with the way things are, without, for example, if you say like for 50 years ago, then where there was no internet, no smartphones, and so on and so forth. And think about that time and really think hard if there is really nothing where you say, oh, that was actually kind of good. Because I personally believe there is no true conservative view where you say, oh, there was a point in time where everything was perfect for you. And then there is no improvement, because even technology is something that is that flows into politics, and that flows into your everyday life. So there cannot be true conservatism where things don't change, or things change very slowly. I mean, our society got here because of progressive and liberal ideas, more or less, which doesn't mean that that liberal and progressive ideas are always good. But before we get to that, so now that we know, okay, the conservative is against change, or at least against a sudden change, and change per se, it should be slow change, if at all change. Let me put it that way. We will take a look at the Democratic Party. Okay, the Democratic Party, one of the two main political parties in the US. Yeah. Usually considered to be in favor of changing society and improving it. Okay, there is no word for liberal or anything in there, but when you look at conservatism and you look at the opposite, and when you look at other definitions of the Democratic Party in the US, you often stumble upon liberal. And liberal is respecting and allowing different types of beliefs or behavior. And also, as you can see down here, to consider different ideas, open-minded, the campaign attracts progressive ideas. And what progressive means, so we have just a bit of a complete picture, because unlike the Republican Party, the Democratic Party doesn't really have that kind of a clear-cut definition, which is sad. Let's see, progressive ideas or systems are new and modern, encouraging change in society or in a way that things are done. Well, that's pretty much a one that I would more or less use. Okay, let's go with that. So we have the conservatives, the Republicans, that are more or less supposed to be against change, and we have the liberals, the Democrats, that are liberals or progressives, that are in favor of inclusion of new ideas of change, more or less. Now, what is good and what is bad? Well, if you look at economics, for example, a new company very often, or at least in a new different type of field, for example, smartphones and stuff like that, often gets started with a very innovative, a new idea. Society got this way because of progressive ideas, because of the idea of including people, because of the idea of chain manufacturing, of manufacturing in different countries. Almost nothing nowadays is manufactured in one country. So these are all ideas that that were at one point or another not common. They were, or didn't even exist. At some point, somebody came up with the idea. But when you look at then what happens with a company that has somebody who is very progressive in their leadership, after some point, it might happen that they overdo their whole progressive ideas, and they don't have anything, any kind of conservative view, or that slows them down and takes a second look at it. Another thing you could say would be weapons or so on. If you only look at try to innovate, you very likely will skip over something that is super important, like, nuclear power. It could be used as a bomb. Of course, in this case, the bomb came first, but just in that vein, how many movies are there where somebody has a great idea to help mankind and they don't think it through, and then all of a sudden it gets used as a weapon? in the Big Bang Theory, they have the idea for the best navigation system, I think it was. And then the question was, is it better than that what the military use? Oh, way better. Then why wouldn't they want it? Why wouldn't they use it to arm their weapons? And then everybody was like, oh. So just because something is new doesn't mean it's good. But also just because something is old doesn't mean it's good as well. I mean, there was so much slavery, not in color or anything, just in general. The people with money, well, it's sort of like nowadays, but it was very openly called slavery. People were owned in Germany. You were the property of the lord or noble family in which area you lived. And people could pretty much do anything to you and would be fined very, well, low charges unless they killed you, because that would be destroying the property of a noble. Yeah. So the conservatives, or a conservative view, actually helps protect a country. But just being against something in order to be against something, or because you say, well, it's better. It's better to give money to the rich people because the poor can't use it or something, is not really a good idea. I mean, a conservative person or a conservative party should do is look at the ideas that the Progressive Party offers and then say, well, are you really sure it's a good idea to invest into this power that could easily destroy the whole globe if it were to be weaponized? And then a good progressive person will say, well, yeah, maybe we should think about not going in that direction or something like that. So in an optimal world, you would have people who innovate, the progressives and liberals, and you would have the conservatives that take a look at everything and say, well, you do know this can be used as a weapon of mass destruction. Well, you do know this could very easily destroy our country. I don't think we should do this. What I'm trying to say is, take a look at your Republican Party and at your Democratic Party. And the Democrats are by no means progressives, liberals. I mean, the best chance they had at winning the election would have been Bernie Sanders, but they are too much, I wouldn't even call them centrists. I would call them, progressive conservatives, or modern conservatives. I don't know what you would say, because they are just mainly focused on keeping everything the way it is and pretending to be for the people. If they really want to show that they are against Trump, against the whole system, and want to help the people, in my opinion, they should switch Biden out for Bernie. Just saying. Anyway, but take a look at your parties and take a look at what they did for you. Take a look at what the Republican Party did. Look at the good and the bad. Did the giving tax money to rich tax breaks through rich corporations, did it increase your salary at the end, or didn't it? Did whatever some Democratic Party did and said, hey, this will help everybody, did it really work, or didn't it? I mean, there are so many things that that political parties promise, and nobody holds them accountable. So if any big YouTuber should ever see this video, my plea would be, take a look at what the Republican Party promised, major bullet points that they have been on, major things they have been doing over the years, and take a look if they had something good, if it turned out the way they promised, or if it was in fact just making the rich richer and the poor poorer. And do the same thing for the Democratic Party. Take a look. Are they actually doing stuff for the people, or would it maybe be time for a third party to emerge, a true progressive party that is actually interested in the health and the welfare and the well-being of the people, a modern Democratic Party or whatever? Maybe it would be time for a new conservative party to emerge, one that isn't just against an idea for the sake of making the rich richer and keeping things the way they are and keeping power or something. Maybe it would be good for the Conservative Party that says, well, we're not against change, but it needs to be very closely monitored. I don't know. That's up for people who live in the US to decide. But my plea is take a look at your parties and take a look at the opposing parties and think about what you really want. Do you want more healthcare? Do you want a different voting system? What do you want from your party? What do you want to happen? And then, without looking at the party, try to find if the party you're voting for actually is helping you. So, yeah, just a quick bit of information about Rezo before we end this. This video blew up, so any big YouTuber who's interested in it, think about it. Now is the best time to do it. Maybe it will help, views and stuff. But what he in effect did is he looked at the at who was in power the most during the last who knows how many years, and he looked at different main points of contention, and he said, okay, listen, this the major conservative party in our country called the CDU or in CSU, they have been in power for so long and wages have barely gone up, and they are the company that could have done stuff against wages not going up that much. For example, he didn't, and he researched everything, and he gave a list of information on it. Do something like that. Try it, and in case you can understand and speak German, Rezo's channel is great, but this video especially is very, very good, and I can highly recommend it. Now, I wish everybody a good night. Till next time. Toodles.